It's great to get you on Real Vision. One of my core ideas around the exponential age has been India for a number of reasons. Everything from the demographic setup to what's going on in digital India. I've done a few shows on Real Vision, even on the ground in India, talking about some of the change. We were recently introduced, and I realized that you are absolutely the epicenter of all of this. So I just thought it'd be brilliant to pick your brains, what's going on in India, where it's all going, what you're up to. But before we kick off, love to hear a bit about your background and how the hell you got into all of this.
Awesome. And Raoul, thanks for having me here and tell your audience our story. My background is I grew up in India. I grew up in a small town in India. When I was growing up, I loved physics. So I thought I'll become a mechanical engineer. So that's what I was planning to do when I was 18. And this is early 2000s. And I decided, when I did my first internship in a car manufacturing company in India, it's called Maruti, I just very quickly realized this is not my thing. And for the first 1 year of realizing that, I was very confused of what to do with my life. And it sounds very embarrassing, but I ended up reading Liar's Poker. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. I mean, like, what do these guys do? And how can I do that? And, that kind of like got me interested on, let's say, working on Wall Street. And one thing led to another. I came to the US to go to grad school, studied financial mathematics, and got a job at Bear Stearns trading mortgage-backed securities in 2004, which was kind of like the closest you can imagine to, the scenes of Liar's Poker. And I loved it. So spent about 10 years on Wall Street, first at Bear Stearns, then at Goldman Sachs, and then at a hedge fund. And around 2015, I was like, okay, well, I've done this. What's next, right? I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I had this idea that how can I change, how can you have access to hedge fund type returns or hedge fund type asset allocation to a normal consumer? So I thought, build a technology platform where on one hand is, hedge fund strategies, and the second hand is consumers just investing in it. And so that's what I thought I'll do. I was just taking some time off, and I was spending time in India with my parents. And one thing led to another, and my bank in India rejected my credit card application for a very simple reason that in India, I would be considered a no credit file consumer, in spite of the fact that I had my platinum card in the US, etc. And then it led to a series of events, which we can get into later, that led me to start Simple, which is essentially a digital reimagination of credit card. Asking this fundamental question: if we did not have credit cards at all today, but we have today's technology, today's consumer, today's commerce, how would you build credit cards from ground up? So that's kind of like, long story short, I got into this.
So before we get into the story of Simple, I want to get into the story of the digital revolution in India and how you saw that evolution, because you kind of turned up at the right time where it was all happening. So talk me through that, the whole demonetization, the building out of UPI, India Stack, Aadhaar. So a lot of people who are not familiar, just so they know what's been going on in India and maybe a little bit about where it was before all of that started.
Yeah. So when I first was kind of like looking to move back to India, which is around 2015, what was happening was very clearly people were moving to 3G, 4G internet, right, on the smartphone. So India, and of course, it's fast forward since then. So right now, the whole country has moved to the fastest internet possible on the smartphone. So we have about 550 to 600 million unique customers with a smartphone in the pocket, with access to 4G internet. And one thing that people don't realize about India is this is very cheap, very accessible. Just to give you an example, internet and 4G on smartphone is just like table stakes for everyone. So that's one. Obviously, that leads to consumption of digital products, right? I mean, India is the biggest base for Facebook and Instagram and all these social stuff, but also commerce, right? Because of digitization of just smartphone, commerce is leapfrogging to e-commerce, and this e-commerce is happening on mobile phone. 90% of all e-commerce in India right now happens on mobile phone, right? Then there is a phenomenal revolution happening on the banking sort of infrastructure side. So what is that? And this is a thing that the government of India has been working on, and the current administration has really pushed